I'm gonna wait for a minute.
There she is. Hi.
Hi, Emily. All right, I think we're good. Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 6:45 p.m. And our first order of business is to go into closed session. And I would look for a motion to do that.
I can make that motion.
You'll have to read it.
Oh. What do I read?
That first paragraph there.
I make a motion to go into closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, discussion regarding request for addendum to 2025-27 administrative contract, and approval of 6/8/26 school board closed session minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. So that was Chapman, Huey. All right, we'll say aye if you're in agreement. Fessler, aye. McRae?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Huey?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. We're gonna go into we're in close at 6:47 p.m. Okay.
participating the whole time unless he has connection issues. He could be, but otherwise we could ask if like somebody would be willing to be.
I can do it.
Do you want to be acting
Clerkety clerk? Yeah.
Acting clerk for the day?
Acting clerk. Oh, so exciting.
I just ask you all to bear with me if my note-taking isn't what I know.
Are you gonna be able to note take and time take?
Well, I mean,
I'm
I've
keep-
already written down everything, okay?
Don't make me look bad, Megan.
No, I'm saying you
not
have a
hard to
big,
Make me
do.
look bad.
you have a big responsibility.
So much pressure.
Okay. All right, Bruce is back. Are we all ready?
30-second countdown?
Sure, Steve, we're gonna restart shortly here. Awesome, thank you. Okay, we are going to resume at 7:06. Okay, and we have our consent agenda items that include the meeting minutes from the June 1st school board meeting, general fund vouchers and purchasing card transactions, certified staffing recommendations, co-curricular staffing recommendations, administrative staffing recommendations, administrator, supervisor, and director compensation. Is there anyone who wants to pull anything out for discussion?
No.
Okay, then I would look for a motion.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And then as always, there are personnel items where no vote is necessary. And then that brings us to public comments. No? None. Okay. All right. Okay, then we get to invite our guests up here for our informational updates. First, we have Paul Ackley for our athletics update, please. Come join us.
Step right up, that was quick.
Oh, we try to be efficient here.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah, especially in the summer.
You want a handout? I think I had a little handout from last time too. So just something that I'll read to you all. Angie has said I have a strict 15-minute guidelines, so that's good. So I think we can get this done easily within that time. So I'll wait till everything's passed out and we're good to go.
All right.
Why, thank you.
All right. Well, just thank you again for the opportunity to get in front of our school board in regards to our co-curricular athletics in the district. Again, Paul Ackley, Athletic Director, McFarland High School, or I should say McFarland School District, because I also help out, or I guess I oversee the middle school athletics as well. So this will be a report. I think in the fall, or I think it was probably winter time, that I gave a fall report. And then I think we just kind of lost a little track of time to try to get a winter report in there. We had an extended winter season, as you'll see as I go through this. And then I had the opportunity, and always appreciate the opportunity to be in front of the board to talk about our athletics in the district. So I'll kind of go sport by sport. The first page is going to be our winter. The second page is going to be our spring. And then I just have some highlights there with some individuals that have had some state participation and conference and regional sectional titles. So, boys basketball had a very successful season, finishing 23-6, and in the process winning a Badger Small Conference Championship, a WIAA Regional Championship, and a WIAA Sectional Championship, thus making it to the state semifinal game at the Kohl Center. This season marked the first time in 52 years that our boys basketball team made it to the state tournament, which was very, very exciting for our entire community and obviously the players and the coaches. Girls basketball competed well again, all season long, made it to the second round of the WI regional tournament after a regional win over conference opponent Portage, and just congratulations to the team on a great season. Our numbers are continuing to grow, and the program, in fact, I just was in the gym today, and the program is already hard at work with youth camps and contact days. So doing a very nice job there. Boys hockey The 2025-2026 season was one of the best in McFarland hockey history. The Spartans earned a number 2 seed in the WIAA Division II Section 4 playoffs and tied the program record for regular season wins. The postseason run reflected that success as McFarland defeated Wapaka 7-1 in the tournament and Fond du Lac Springs 5-4 to reach the sectional final game before falling to Wanakee with a very tough 1-0 loss in the sectional final. The season showcased the continued growth of the program. Girls hockey is continuing to build upon their successes. They had great numbers this year, and the culture is definitely changing. Their record improved slightly. They finished 5th in the Badger Conference standings, up from the previous year, and they are projecting enough players actually for a JV team this next upcoming season. So our numbers are increasing in our girls hockey program, which a couple years ago we were down to about 13, 14 girls. So it's been great with the co-op in the schools, and that's primarily Oregon, Monona Grove, McFarland, and Stoughton are the teams that make up that co-op with other schools in there, but the primary players are from those big schools.
Awesome.
Boys swimming. This is a pretty impressive boys swimming year. The McFarland boys swim and dive team won the Badger Small Conference title, captured the small school state championship. That's an invite that they go to prior to finishing runner-up at the WIAA state meet. Along the way, the team broke 6 state records, posted 2 of the fastest times in state history, and recorded the fastest relay split ever swum in the state of Wisconsin. They also launched a dive program this season and qualified a diver for state for the first time in program history. So again, giving some kids opportunities to do diving, which we have always had a very successful swim program. Diving is something new to us, and I believe it was Zane Doolin. That was the young man that competed at the state meet for diving for the first time. Wrestling. When we talk wrestling, we talk boys and girls wrestling. So the MGM, Monona Grove McFarland Co-op, boys and girls wrestling continued to show growth, competitiveness, and resilience throughout the season. Several athletes emerged as consistent leaders, while others gained valuable experience that will benefit the program moving forward. Success extended beyond the mat, with more than half of the team's student athletes earning a GPA above 3.5, demonstrating the program's commitment to excellence in both academics and athletics. The accomplishments achieved this year have built a strong foundation for the future of MGM wrestling remains bright. Dance team. The dance team continued to build on its tradition of excellence this season, competing in 6 competitions during their winter season, performing at school and community events, and engaging more than 150 youth dancers through their annual kids clinics and end-of-the-year showcase. The team consistently placed among the top 3 at local competitions and capped off the season with a 5th place finish in the Division IV POM and a 6th place finish in the Division II Jazz at the WACPC State Championship. And that wraps up our winter season. Going on to the next page, right into our spring season. So the most recent one completed. Boys golf. The McFarland boys golf team had a very strong spring season. This year, the varsity team earned 2nd place in the conference for the 2nd year in a row. Additionally, the team placed 3rd at regionals, qualifying for the sectional meet as a Division I team. Addison Pennycamp qualified for the state tournament as an individual. He is the first individual qualifier for McFarland boys golf since 2016 Matthew Davidson, and the first golfer to qualify for the state meet at the Division I level since we moved there in 2000. Baseball. The baseball team was competitive all season long. An example of that is that they beat the undefeated conference-leading Reedsburg Beavers baseball team 3-1 kind of later in the season. They had a very impressive upset win in the WI tournament over Platteville and competed well the next week against the number 1 seeded Sauk Prairie Eagles. A special congratulation goes out to Grayson Gowitz for hitting for the cycle. Grayson is the first player in the history of our high school to hit a home run, a triple, a double, and single in one game, which is a pretty amazing feat for a high school athlete. So Grayson, we want to recognize Grayson's accomplishment there. That's called a cycle. Yep. You hit for the cycle. So there you go. You're learning tonight. You betcha. Track and field. Track and field has been competitive in meets at both the varsity and junior varsity levels all season long. Some of the season's highlights include Ada Geiger setting the school record in the 800-meter run, John Gibson setting school records in both the 100-meter dash and the 200-meter dash, as well as Kayla Landerud breaking her own school record in the discus. The team sent 17 athletes to the WIAA state meet in lacrosse, and the boys team took third place overall at the state championship meet. They were just 4 points away from a state runners-up. So a very, very, very close meet, and our conference opponent, Monroe, or a team that we compete against often, was the state runner-up. So it's very close. Softball, the McFarland softball teams were competitive all season. We had an exciting pitching accomplishments from Ella Schukart, a graduating senior, hit 100-plus strikeouts on the season. 3 varsity players also walked away with all conference awards, and the team is looking forward to building on the success from this past season. Boys tennis. The varsity boys tennis team finished the season tied for third in conference, thanks to a solid veteran singles lineup along with a scrappy trio of new double players. You can tell Mr. Lacey wrote this because he's an English teacher, so he really put some good words in there. Jordan Clark earned a third-place medal at conference, and Kevin Chen placed second after upsetting the top seed at the Badger Conference tournament. Kevin also finished the season in strong fashion, qualifying for the individual state tournament after a third-place finish at the sectional meet. Kevin won his first-round match at state and then lost a very close, hard-fought battle against Kohler's Dylan Grunberg in a tiebreak. Girls soccer, obviously the buzz of the town right now because it's still going on. So girls soccer had a very, very successful season. They clinched a share of the conference title. And again, that's the Badger small conference title with a 5-0-2 record. The other 2 teams that we tied, Sauk Prairie and Edgewood, were also conference champions, so a 3-way tie. The girls soccer team was both regional and sectional champions. And just on Sunday at our seeding meeting for the state tournament, we received the number 1 seed in the WIA state tournament. We will play Rice Lake this Friday in the first round of the WI state tournament. And right now, the team has only been scored on 1 time the entire season. So we have 20 games, and only 1 goal has been scored on the team. So a strong group of seniors in the kind of in the defensive and goal area. So Jayla Moore, Catherine Kelly, Julia Purrington, very, very strong defenders, and a very good goalkeeper in Jayla Moore. Game is going to be at 4:30 at Uline Soccer Park, which is down in Milwaukee. Yep. Perfect.
So this is like our cliffhanger.
That's right.
It's our
That's right.
cliffhanger.
And when we win on
Yes.
on Friday, if I misspoke, Friday, June 19th, we will play in the championship game at 7 o'clock on Saturday.
And the games are televised, obviously.
They are on the NFHS network. Yep. And I think we sent, Leah Polis, my assistant, sent an email out on District News with that information today.
Yep.
All right, girls lacrosse. So we have a co-op with Oregon, Stoughton, and McFarland. We had 5 girls participate in girls lacrosse this year from McFarland, which is up a little bit from last year. The Panthers girls lacrosse co-op team has put together a phenomenal spring season, finishing the regular season with a 12-2 record. Despite being relatively a young team, with half of the starters having never played a varsity girls lacrosse game before this season. The group has come together quickly and competed at a consistently high level. The Panthers are currently ranked 8th, or were ranked 8th in the state, and earned a number 3 seed in the sectional for the state tournament and finished 2nd in the Badger Conference. And then Ultimate Frisbee. It's a club that we oversee in our athletic department. The Ultimate Frisbee team has been having a lot of fun, or did have a lot of fun, while putting a lot of work into their season. They have seen a lot of individual and team growth, and the numbers of the program continue to grow, and the team competes very well with area teams. So just a little tidbit on the back. I just tried to give you a little highlights. The winter and spring seasons brought a lot of success with 3 conference titles for boys swim, boys basketball, and girls soccer. On top of that, our teams came home with 2 regional titles and 3 sectional titles, and then multiple individual state appearances and 3 team state appearances. And then state performances you can see down there with some of the boys and girls that participated in state meets individually as well.
Awesome.
So kind of
Very
a
good.
wrap up of our spring and winter sports seasons. So just again, always appreciate the opportunity to get in front of everybody. You have a lot on your plate and a lot on your agenda, and obviously want to make sure that you're aware of our sports and what we're doing in our athletic department.
Yeah,
Cool, thank you.
absolutely.
Any questions?
I'm curious, are there any trends in participation you're seeing in any of the sports? Increases, decreases,
I
youth
think-
coming up? That
Yeah, so I pulled a
would be good for
report
us to
off of
know.
Infinite Campus that we have, which is always kind of interesting. And we had 160 males out of 399 total males in the school participate in a spring sport. So that's 40%, which is I believe a good record. I don't know how it would compare to last year's, but I would say it's pretty consistent. And then we have 107 females in this, 331 females in the school, and 107 of them participated in a spring sport. So that's 32.3%. So I would say, we have certain sports that are always, we're always looking to try to increase our participation numbers, but I would say that we've been pretty consistent and trending upward in most of our sports. So,
Despite our enrollment not.
correct,
really
yeah,
doing
our
so.
enrollment,
that's interesting.
I believe our third Friday count, not this past school year, but the year before, was 730, which we then give to the WIA for tournament placement. So your enrollment dictates the division in which you're in. And every sport has different divisions, and where I think this year's third Friday count for the 25-26 school year was 703. So you're down about 25, 30 students, and all of them count, because it's important to try to get those participation numbers up. But in the years that I've been here at McFarland as a coach and as athletic director, I've been very, very proud of our participation for a school our size. And like we talked about last time, we're a school of 700 kids roughly. We offer 25 sports for the, student athletes to participate in. Middleton, the biggest school in the state at 2,300, offers one more sport than we do, and that's gymnastics. So we have just as many opportunities for the largest school in the state of Wisconsin to participate in, except for one. So our kids have a lot to choose from,
Yep,
Yep, well,
and that does spread the numbers out. We talked about that the last time I was here.
right.
certainly. We're adding volleyball next year.
And then boys volleyball will be an addition in the fall for next year. So a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
Touching a lot of
that's awesome.
students.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Good work.
All right. How'd I stay on time, Angie? Or who's the timekeeper? I guess?
I am, but I'm like multitasking, you're doing great.
Yeah, there you go. We're just gonna say
Seems
yes.
like you're well within time.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Well done.
Good. Well, thank you again for the
Yeah, thank
opportunity.
you.
Just
Thank you for
really
coming.
appreciate coming in here and talking about our
Thanks,
kids.
Walt.
Yep. Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
Exciting.
you.
Thank you.
Go enjoy your summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of sports.
We're going.
yeah, it's really busy.
Oh, yeah, I was just talking to a parent today that was dropping off her, I think Emmett is a third grader, maybe you're gonna be a second grader next year, and she has that son age, and then it's Eli Krieger.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
He's going to be a senior next year, and I'm like, it just kind of hits you in the face right off the bat, because you're dropping off your kids for camps, and your older kids
Yeah.
have contact days and opportunities. We hosted a passing league for football last night with 4 other schools, and we had volleyball league here tonight for a bunch of girls and girls for Tommy Moriarty doing his stuff. So it's never ending. that's
Never
for
ending.
sure. So, a lot.
Yeah,
Busy, busy.
good busy.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you, Paul.
Okay, now we have Emily Kintzer for the Learning and Technology Update. Hi, everybody. Hi,
Hello.
welcome. I thought it was very interesting. I've showed the board this before, but Education Week had their special issue is why schools need tech and why they don't. So I thought it was very timely.
It's definitely in the news right now. Lots
is.
of districts and states, thinking about these issues, so.
Hot topic.
All right. Okay, so we are gonna, it's gonna be a little technical at times, potentially. We're gonna get in the weeds a little bit, so feel free to ask questions as we go or at the end. I just wanna start by sharing why this came up this year, why this sort of became worthy of our time and attention. Couple things going on. So I just really got interested in the research around learning and technology, and then sometimes once I get interested in something, I go down a rabbit hole and read everything I can find on the internet and order all the books. So this sort of became something I was really interested in, and that coincided with a move away from one-to-one devices at our primary school. So students will not have one-to-one devices starting next year at MPS. So wanting to help teachers navigate that and think about if we are using iPads with students, what are the times when that's really going to be valuable, and what are the times where maybe that's actually not helping their learning, and we don't need to be prioritizing that. And then just hearing from staff. This year, we did a staff survey around at these shifts, both at MPS, and I was like, let's do that for the whole. Let's ask each building, how are you using technology and one-to-one devices with students? What are you noticing? What are your challenges? What are your concerns? And some really interesting things bubbled up from that sort of also helped to drive this forward. And a lot of those things were just student off-task behavior, concerns about academic dishonesty, some students really struggling when it was time to close devices or rushing through work to get to devices. So teachers just noticing some problematic things around that. And so that was kind of where this all came from, was wanting to support teachers to navigate those things.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for the background.
It's thinking. Wait for it. Okay, I just want to start with, as we're going to talk about learning today, there's a few things that are essential. All human brains require the same thing to put things in long-term memory, which is really what learning is. So when we're talking about learning, we're talking about changes in what is happening in our long-term memory. The first thing we have to have, though, is attention. Our senses tell us something is going on. That could be visual, it could be auditory, but we're taking in information, and we have to be paying attention to that information in order to process it in any way. So that's the first thing we have to have, is just student focus. Then we have this interplay between working memory, so what we're actively thinking about, and what's in our long-term memory. And we have to sort of have students practice pulling things out of long-term memory to strengthen those neural networks so that those things become deeply learned and they can pull them out then whenever they want and need that information, right? So we need both kids to be able to focus, and then we need them to be able to have their working memory available to learn, and they have to do that effortful thing of actually thinking, right? It takes effort. It doesn't just, naturally sink in there, and then pulling things out of long-term memory. And that sort of back and forth between working and long-term memory is kids processing and writing and discussing, and that's where true learning happens. So like those are the conditions we are striving for. Okay, so we're going to talk today just about when those conditions are supported by ed tech or one-to-one devices specifically, and when they are not. Just as a disclaimer, I am not saying that we should eliminate all technology. There are some really good uses for tech in a classroom and for learning when it provides access, right? So if we have a student who has a disability and requires technology to access content, like, of course, right? Like, that's positive practice. It can remove barriers for kids. Personalized learning to a point. We want to make sure that all kids are still having access to grade level content, right? So we don't want things so wildly personalized that we can't keep track of whether they're actually making progress because we have no idea what they're doing. So it's their own thing. It can help us create or produce finished products. Computers are great at that, right? So putting together a PowerPoint, typing a finished product, if kids are going to publish their writing, creating an infographic about something. So those sort of production pieces, technology is excellent for that and can be a really great tool, which is different from learning, right? So just to hold those things separate. And again, it can provide some connection to authentic purposes and audiences. So it can help us, watch the camera of the baby eagles hatching, that we would never have access to see that if we, didn't have that device, or it can allow connectivity with people in other places, or, right? So there's some creative ways that tech can just give experiences that we wouldn't normally have. Okay, and then there's one last sort of nerdy piece here, which is just to share that when we're looking at, in education, when we study what works and what doesn't, there's a researcher named John Hattie whose work's been really influential. He tries to determine what conditions promote the most learning for students. So he tries to sort of isolate, if we have cooperative groups, what impact does that have? If we have teacher read-alouds, what impact does that have? If we have a student experiencing homelessness, what impact does that have? So hundreds of different things have been measured. And what he's found is that the hinge point, or sort of like, these are the things we want to do, are a 0.4 impact or greater. So 0.4 is sort of your, if it's more than that, this is worthy of pursuing, it's worthy in doing in our classrooms.
Okay.
If it's below that, it's not. And that's, yeah. Okay, so keep in mind that 0.4 effect size, that's gonna come into play as we walk through this. All right, so now I'm gonna show you some really scary data. This is data of sort of this global cognitive collapse. For the first time in history, we have a generation of kids who are intellectually less capable than generations before. So up to this point, every generation of kids was more cognitively capable than the generation before because they were in school more, basically is what that's attributed to. But starting around 2010, we start to see cognitive decline in all subjects, and this is an international phenomenon, not just a United States phenomenon, and this is across all subjects. So this is PISA data, which is sort of like the world's NAEP, just not attributed to individual kids, but like how are we doing as a country, as a world? The answer is not great as of late, and a correlation with the time that we see this data really fall is when most districts adopted one-to-one devices. So that's not causative right now, it's just correlation, not smartphones. This is tech in classrooms, kids using laptops and iPads for their learning. Okay, this is the USA specific data, tells a similar story. Most states moved to one-to-one devices for students between 2010 and 2015, and then we see down goes the graph. So the pandemic, of course, doesn't help, but really this is in place before that ever happens. Okay, here's a look at how much screen time, so the amount of time during the day has an impact as well. Basically, the more time kids are on devices at school, the worse their academic outcomes are. So if we have kids online 6 hours a day, that's about the same as 2 entire grade levels lower of performance than we would see from had we stayed under that 1 hour of screen time.
And that's Chromebooks, iPads.
This is one-to-one devices,
Okay.
yep. So kids doing stuff here instead of attending to their
Yeah,
teacher there,
okay.
yep.
Does this include, sorry, like, if you're doing like 6+ hours of like virtual learning where you're interacting with your teacher, you're asked to do something, is that included in the 6 hours? Like like technology instruction? I don't know quite how
I
to
would say
phrase
anytime
that
there's a
question.
screen between you and your teacher, that's what they're kind of counting.
Okay,
Interesting.
thank you.
And then I think there's one more really scary graph, which this is from NAEP again, which is our national assessment of student progress. This graph really shows that in case we thought maybe, sometimes there's these arguments that like the kids who are underperforming, that technology is really going to be the thing that's going to turn the tides. These graphs really show the opposite, that the students who were the lowest performing took the worst hit and did even more poorly after the introduction of these one-to-one devices. So if you were in the scoring in the 10th percentile on standardized tests, introduction of one-to-one devices, now you are even, the gaps have widened, in fact. So the hope maybe was that was going to help close gaps, and in fact, it's done the opposite. Kids who are affluent, kids who school comes easy to them, they have the resources, they've had an impact as well, but it just hasn't been as significant. Okay, so then there's also, do we remember the effect size that really matters? What are we looking for? 0.4. Yep, okay, so 0.4 and above, you guys got it. So then it's also been broken out to study what is the effect size of one-to-one devices for specific subjects. So like, again, we're trying to answer that question of when is tech or ed tech platforms beneficial for learning, for getting things in long-term memory that kids can then pull out and use. As we see, and this is based on meta-analyses, so like compiled studies after study, like put together. Math effect size 0.33, literacy 0.25, science, oh gosh, my eyes, 0.18, right? Okay, vision screening apparently needed. Writing quality 0.32, and then specific learning needs. This one's kind of interesting to a 0.61. So in really specific targeted instances, technology can support. So like, let's say we're doing math facts. Aaron really is, the class is sort of, we've covered that. We're going to move on. Aaron needs some more repetition with that. Just that's what he needs. And so that sort of like just rote practice, frankly, it gives extra repetitions. If there's one answer to a question and it's just you need more retrieval practice, tech can be an asset for that. If we don't have human's always better kind of, but if we don't have the human ready to do that, like that can support. So it can have positive impact in spaces like that. Sometimes also for like really advanced math, adaptive math questions can be supportive too. I've read research on that. But as we see, it's having a negative impact on if we did something else instead, we would have more student success than with this. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the why that's true. Because like I said, I've sort of presented some awful looking graphs, but it's hard to attribute that to the one-to-one devices without a little more of like what's going on in people's brains that's making that outcome happen. So there's a few things, in fact. The first is attention and multitasking. Kids that are coming to our buildings use devices mostly for entertainment, like when they're outside of school and sometimes when they're in school. But that is what their brain is trained to like. They're playing video games where you're multitasking. They're not training the brain for like deep concentration and thinking, right? So as kids are working on devices, they often are multitasking. They are not sustained concentration on a topic. And we'll learn more about that in a second. So that's tricky because human brains really can't multitask. As much as we wish they could, there's a cognitive like delay every time we switch between activities to sort of reorient, like, wait, what was I working on? Where am I again? And if kids have tabs open on a Chromebook or are playing a game while they listen to a lecture or while they're that really demands a lot of students' attention. And we know that you have to attend to something to learn. And so this is sort of interfering with that process. The second is empathetic synchrony. This is really cool if you want to go on a dive into this, but just that learning is a biological event and humans are wired and predisposed to learn from other human beings, which makes sense if you think about, the history of the human species. But being in physiological sort of alignment, those relationships between teachers and students prime human brains to learn. And we lose that when we put a screen interface between the teacher and student. And then the last piece is this piece about transfer. And I think the analogy of learning how to drive a stick shift car is helpful. If you learn how to do something more effortful and that requires more concentration and it's more complex, it's pretty easy then. I learned how to drive a stick shift car, my first vehicle. We picked up the car. My dad said, drive home. It was a little touch and go, but we made it. It was easy for me then to get into an automatic transmission vehicle and drive. That did not require a lot of, issue. Going from automatic to, that was a little more effortful. And a lot of tech platforms are designed to be really easy. They're easy to operate. It's intuitive. It's set up for you so you don't have to think hard. It's just click. So it's easy then, if you learn something on paper, to transfer it to the online platform. The opposite, not so much, because a lot of the barriers have been removed, and sometimes the barriers are where you were learning. Like if we made it so easy, now you're not actually thinking, you're not engaging in productive struggle. That was where the learning was happening. Okay, so what does that mean for the classroom? So there's some implications of that the teachers, again, on that survey are highlighting and saying, we are designing these lessons and kids are off task. We're struggling to keep them working on something on their device. We're monitoring, we're trying to, supervise on Aristotle and see what screens they're on, but it's really challenging and it's taking our time. And that's really played out by the research as well. The 6-minute drift is a pretty scary statistic, that within 6 minutes, most kids have drifted into digital distractions. So they're asked to do something on their Chromebook, 6 minutes, they've already tried to open a game window or, clicked on something else. The attention drain, just how much time kids are spending on task. So 24 to 38 minutes of every hour spent on classroom devices is off task.
That's mind-blowing.
It's not good. But it's not to say that kids were on task 100% of the time before this, because they weren't. But I don't think they were off task for 38 minutes of every hour before this. And if they were, that's rough.
Yeah.
So I think that number has certainly increased. There's also something called the spatial anchor, which is when you're reading on paper, your brain sort of attaches information to a location on the page. So if you could, studying hard for a class, I remember biology was the first really hard class I had. I would take my notes, I would read the textbook, and then I would close my eyes when I was taking the test and be like, okay, down here on the page, I remember where that was. I need to dig out that information right now. That's actually a biological phenomena, is that we attach information to a spatial anchor. And if we're reading on screens, we don't have that spatial anchor, and so kids remember less. The same is true with handwriting. Handwriting is effortful. It's slower, but actually it turns out that that's important because that helps things go into long-term memory. It helps us process what we're hearing versus somebody who's a proficient typer. I mean, I wrote papers for grad school that I just type. I 5 minutes later, you could ask me, what did you write about? I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember studying for exams. I would rewrite my notes over and over and over again.
The handwriting effect is real. You can go ahead, Angie. Okay, so just to dig in a little deeper, reading on screens versus paper. So again, on paper, the brain's creating that sort of 3D mental image of information. Scrolling destroys that. Reading comprehension on screens is consistently lower. So it's a 0.15 to 0.29 effect size lower for especially expository text. So that's nonfiction reading. And as kids move up in the grades and they're reading in science and they're reading in, probably not math, history, maybe occasionally, but not this type of reading necessarily, yeah. But so those things being off a screen really does make a difference for how much kids are going to retain. So the recommendation for that is if you have to think hard about something, it's fine if you're just reading on your Kindle, it's your beach read, whatever. But if you're trying to learn, again, if you're trying to learn and not just be entertained, then reading on print is the better way to go.
All right.
Same handwriting versus typing. Again, typing is great for publishing a piece, right? It looks very nice. Everyone can read it. We should teach typing, especially if we're going to ask kids to be on computers. And if we really want kids to think hard about something, to process a discussion, to take notes about what they're hearing, taking notes by hand will produce better recall. It's just a better way for kids to retain information. And teachers have done some shifting already in this area and have talked about sort of kids' fine motor skills are not where they need to be. Their muscle strength in their hands is not where it needs to be. But, that's not a reason to not, push through that. And they're having kids write more by hand and have been impressed by the quality. A high school English teacher told me that's the best quality she's gotten from her students was when she asked them to write a whole paper by hand.
Cool.
And last little point here is that using AI to generate ideas in writing, they've done brain scans of people while they're using AI to write and while they're writing themselves. And it's just a whole different ballgame of all the areas of your brain that are lit up when you're writing. And if AI is doing it for you, that's cognitive offloading. It's you passing the task to AI, and it's not helping you learn. Okay. Talked a little bit about this, but just this idea that digital tools are designed to be user-friendly and seamless. Like, that's the whole point. They make money by how much you use their product, right? So making it engaging, entertaining. And those could feel like really important. Like, we want kids to be engaged, right? We don't want them to be disengaged, but engagement does not equal learning. So, like, yes, engagement, but engagement at the sake of like actually taking in new information and processing it. That's a little messier sometimes, but that is really what helps things stick. So that fluency illusion is like, you go in, it's easy, it feels like you're learning, but actually you didn't store anything in long-term memory. You were engaged with something, you produced something perhaps, but you weren't learning. Because learning happens when people have to think hard. And sometimes the ed tech is removing the hard thinking, is the truth, so.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and just AI is such a hot topic right now. All districts that I know of are trying to navigate. The landscape is changing quickly. There's new ITL, information technology literacy standards out about how to help kids navigate this world. But how do we do that in a way that's not like, we don't want to be pushing this in front of kids to help get them ready for that it's going to be there later, right? Like, that's not a good way to do it either. So just wanting to be really clear, when artificial intelligence is used to do the thinking, when it's researching for you, when it's drafting, when it's generating, it might help you produce something, like a finished piece of writing that you didn't write. But that is all cognitive offloading. It's passing the tasks, and it's not. There's certain instances, again, if you are an expert using, AI to like help you refine or to offload some of your, like, I could do that task, but that would take me 5 hours, and it could just, and there's ethical concerns too. So just want to acknowledge that. But when students, almost by definition, they're not experts. They are novices. They're learning. We need them to increase their knowledge base and to build their skills to do things instead of just creating a product that looks nice but didn't build any ability for them to like reproduce that in the future without that tool. Okay, so kind of in summary, when does tech work for learning? So we talked about production, right? Tech's good production tools sometimes can make things look nice. It can help, create a product that's going to be shared. Often are poor learning tools except in some really specific circumstances. So our real push goal movement is for intentional technology. So really helping people understand this research, knowing when it works and when it's not research supported. It really does work best, like I described about those just targeted practice of foundational skills. Like, you need to review your letters more times than other kids, and that's okay. And that can help, potentially. And AI tutors do show some promise when students use them, again, in really specific ways. Our librarian at the high school, Sheila Fay, will say, like, we have kids in AP classes who are in a study hall. Their physics teacher is not here with them, and they've got this really challenging problem. And so to just say, break this down for me, or what's the next step? But again, like that really intentional looking for feedback on where you are and the next step versus go do this for me. And I think that's there is potential there. And it's also, we can't just hand that over to kids and say, here, use this tool and try to figure out how it will help you learn and when it won't. Like, we need a little more guidance than that. All right, so moving forward, sort of like, what are we doing with all this information? We're thinking about what specific learning needs might a tech tool address, instead of being like, hey, we have this cool tool, how could we use it, or how could we push that in? But like, when technology meets a learning need, great. When it doesn't, we need to be really careful about what we're putting in front of kids and for how much time. So just thinking through, how does it improve learning, not just logistics. What might be easy is not necessarily what supports students' learning. And then just going back to the basics of like, would paper or discussion be more effective Like, what does the research support? And teachers have been really open to these conversations, and I think are seeing some benefit as they sort of take a step back and evaluate some things. So another big idea, just teach someone to use a tool, they'll be able to use that tool. Teach someone how to think, they'll be able to use any tool. We really want kids to know things, to be able to generate their own ideas, to be problem solvers, to have deep knowledge about different topics. And then whatever tech tools they use in their future, they'll be adept at using because they have a solid foundation. And so, just also wanting to share, working on tech philosophy and AI guidance. These were shared with staff at all buildings. They've given feedback, and so working this summer to just take that in, to do some revisions and try to get a more finalized version of that going into next school year. There was some really good conversation at our June SIP meeting, just teachers sharing feedback and concerns and what they're seeing in their spaces. And I think this is really important to sort of have consistency across spaces, so it's not one person's fight. It's like this is what we believe and what we and how we're going to make decisions about technology use. And I think that's it. And then, of course, if you ever want to just spend a whole day in a rabbit hole about ed tech, you can watch all my
Can we
videos.
get this presentation emailed to us?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Absolutely. Does anyone have questions? Sorry, that was a lot.
Yes. Yes. Where do I begin? First, a comment rather than a question. The slide with the cognitive decline, scary.
Yeah.
Just to think about how much we can improve. So there's opportunity there. But with that being a worldwide phenomenon, it's so interesting to see these gaps widening. So I think that my question is based on a lot of your information provided spoke to how important it is to have repetitive, like, pacing for these manual tasks, for lack of better words, to allow for comprehension and retention. How can we look to incorporate more ways of this slower handwriting and more ways of these physical media while still keeping pace with the level of instruction that's needed to be provided, even considering like how we're moving towards every student seeing grade level material. So that's already, widening the gap further, in my opinion, to then take away those supports to say, hey, let's slow down. But do we really have the capacity to do so? Or
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
That's a good question.
It's a great question. I would say we're not looking to like remove supports for kids.
Okay.
It's not like a take away everyone's assistive technology that they need to access something. It's I think it's more just like a substitution sometimes of like, we're gonna still do this task. We're just gonna read it here and annotate here, and I'm gonna model on the board as opposed to doing it via the screen. So that's a piece of it. You also touched on sort of like that retrieval practice and kids needing repetition. That sort of teaching practice supports especially kids who are underperforming. And we're spending, this year we did a lot of learning about student response strategies and frequent responses. And next year we're also talking about sort of how teachers are giving feedback to kids in the moment to adjust their practice, which I think that's the sort of teaching that will lift everyone and especially support kids who maybe weren't getting it before. Versus, I'm going to assign something, I'm going to tell you to go write a paper, go write it, and then turn it in on your computer, right? So it's more interactive.
And just from a timekeeping perspective, we're about 10 minutes over. It's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Because
important.
my next
It's
section is
important.
pretty quick. So,
I do have another question. you spoke about how AI can be used to create a finished product. But aren't those models based on the ability of the users reading and writing?
Not necessarily. It depends how you're using it.
Okay.
So there are adaptive tutors that sort of you put in an input of like, here's my question, here's what I understand, and it'll quiz you or ask you
And it just
or show you
seems,
steps.
seems very pervasive now, to where sometimes it feels as if you don't have the option to not use these features. And so considering that, as we look for ways to be intentional, if AI is going to be incorporated into those programs with all of its positives and negatives, I think that looking for just what it can provide as far as a finished product, or using it only as a one solution kind of thing, would put us at a disadvantage much later. I think that we do need to take a stance on how we will approach that because it doesn't seem to be something that will go away. But I think that that will greatly impact learners in the future as we see the trends from the past 10 years sort of taking a negative turn on the world.
Yeah.
So I think that considering how even the birth of these programs has come into such a detrimental sort of result, how do we prepare ourselves for what looks like further decline?
I think by not, so to me, it's like we need to teach kids, especially as they prepare to like leave high school and go into the job market, right? There's definitely space, and we need to be doing some coaching for kids about tools. Again, it's back to that, they'll like teach them how to think, and they can use any tool. And we really need to make sure along the way that we're not robbing them of the opportunity to do that hard thinking and learning by having them put their thoughts into AI, and AI writes a polished paper, but then they didn't learn how to polish a paper, kind of thing. So
I just
It's a
keep in
balance.
mind, like, the children who went to kindergarten for the first time during when we had the COVID pandemic. Like, perhaps those are the foundational practices that we need to get back to, but it's a wonder of how far away we've gotten from where we need to be with those who never learned that in the first place. It's a little scary. I would love to read this later.
yeah, I'll share it with everyone so you can
Yeah.
explore further.
Yeah.
I think Bruce had a comment.
Yeah, I just going to share that talking with a number of teachers, I know they're really excited about what you're doing. And from my experience, I just cannot tell people how the real high that you get as an educator is when you see the spark in a kid's eye when all of a sudden he or she says, I get it. I understand it. And it's, that cartoonish little, like the light bulb goes on. But that takes work. And I think that's the thing. Again, I guess I'm a product of the 60s. There's no such thing as a free lunch. There's a cost. And if we make, just getting information out really quick, computers are great that way. But I'm reminded again, as a historian, the Greeks had very little technology that, it's quite simple in some ways. And yet some of the conclusions that these people, they discovered, and you go like, how the heck did they do that? They did it through the power of their mind and thinking and asking questions. And that was Socrates, just always asking questions. But I will just say, watching kids and just seeing them have that spark was enough to just say, I love this job. And I could have done the same class 4 times in a day and had that same, all of a sudden the kid gets it. And I just think we've kind of gotten away from that. And I do think I'm really excited about where you're going. So just thank you.
I also want to say thank you for being kind of ahead of the curve on it and going down the rabbit hole. I had someone reached out to Meredith and I both, specifically about tech concerns. And it was really great to be able to respond and say, actually, we're already doing this, 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 and this. And, you know, and we're learning more about it tonight. So that I appreciate that. Thank you.
She reached out to all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, she did. Just kidding. That's right. She did. Yeah.
And I think
So-
it's like, I think Erin has shared with us too before, like, students have also asked for this. Like, this is not just a industry thing that's happening. Like, students recognize that this is an issue and are asking for us to be supportive of them. So thank you for listening to the students and thank you for listening to the staff and the teachers. I think my only ask one is I want to go down the rabbit hole too. And then the other one is, what tool set are we going to be able to offer our teachers when doing this work doesn't always align with popularity? And so I want to make sure that as you're going through this, and as I know the teachers are supportive, I think the board is supportive in our goals, that we arm our teachers with the words and the tool set to use. I think that's just important because I would like to be supportive of them in some of the hard conversations that may not arise on asking for less device use.
And that did come out from teachers in that survey too, of like, what will be communicated to families around
Yeah.
this? Like, we don't want to, if it's a district thing.
Yeah,
Just
productive
support with
struggle
that.
is challenging as a parent, as we all know. Like, that's hard. And so being able to support teachers in that conversation.
And that's the exact thing that they said. When we ask the kids to think really hard, like,
It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Well, it is. It's a little bit like they've been eating donuts and we're asking them to eat broccoli.
Yeah.
And
There's a
so
brand.
there's probably going to be some of that, like, I don't like school, you know? Well, yes. There may be some
Well,
things you
yes.
don't like. It's hard.
Right.
The one thing I just want to caution us about, because you look at the research and you see these like 6 hours a day, that is not what our kids are
Yeah,
doing.
that's a good point.
So I just, especially at the K-5 level, what we're finding is that there is limits on when kids are using devices. That's not to say we don't need to make some adjustments, but I just don't want to give the impression that our kids are just sitting on devices all
very
day
true.
long across their day. And that includes 612 as well. But it is a tool that's used, especially 612, for information flow, access to the materials. And so that is something that, we'll need to accommate.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
you.
questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Emily. All right. Legislative update.
I have nothing new I have no new updates. There's nothing new to talk about.
That's true. It's all the same, isn't it?
True.
So I gave my 10 minutes to him.
Well spent.
Thank you.
All right.
There really isn't.
There really
Yeah,
isn't.
no,
I messaged
we-
him, I'm like, I got nothing. Am I missing anything? He's like, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Thank you.
Sometimes no news is good news.
Yeah. Okay, district administrator's report.
All right, we have some pictures from around the district we'll get to kind of share some things with all y'all. Remind you why we're here, the humans we get to serve. All right.
Aaron, is your mic on?
Yes, my mic is on. Can you
I don't
not
know,
hear
it
me?
shows you're muted up there.
That's his computer.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
muted on here, so it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Just kidding.
You know. But
Do you hear him at all, Bruce?
A little bit, but it's more like he's speaking in the room and I'm picking up just
Yeah.
someone else's microphone.
okay.
Do you want to use mine? Oh, that's a good
Okay.
idea.
Thanks for saying something, Bruce.
Yeah.
Now you're really doubly important.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
turn that one off?
All right. I don't know if that will cause a problem.
that
if they
better?
Get close. Can you hear me now?
Much better, much
Okay.
better.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So here's 4K. Look at 4K. Went on a joint field trip to the zoo, the first ever all-school 4K, right? Because they're at different places. So that's pretty neat. And then you can see them participating in the senior parade. So just thought that was kind of fun for you to see there. Also have some second graders who were participating in the Be Excited About Reading event. So very excited to share their love of books and reading. It is so exciting at MPS. And thank you to Mrs. Fix for inspiring the curiosity of our kids. You can see them outside of the library there. This is the second grade parade that they do when the second graders are getting ready to leave MPS. They do a parade and they walk through, and then you can see Pat Shukart is retiring here in the district and kind of he was leading the parade in his, what I call the Zamboni. Yeah, so a very exciting picture there. You're going to see a couple pictures from Community Day again. So many great things, and here you can see this moving the mulch into the Larson House and McFarland Historical Society Museum. So just really working on that, making sure that those grounds are tended to, and our kids are active, they're young, they're ready to help. Here you can see them cleaning the equipment at the senior center, doing some work on the holiday decorations there. You can also see them reading with their first grade buddies on Community Day, so that's one of my favorite things, see this cross-age activity. So every first grader also went home with a new book.
Wow.
So that comes from the Madison Reading Project. So thanks to them for that. The annual 8th grade students versus staff basketball game. The students had a ringer with Tegan Mullaney, but they didn't win. So the staff once again won. I had minimal injuries from what I've heard, so it's always a lot of fun. What I would say is if you're ever curious about, an interesting event to see, that is one to see. Our staff are unbelievably competitive.
That's not surprising.
So, and our students are too, so it's very fun. Here we have the 8th grade students. They're working with the new middle school science teacher assistant program. So you have them working with our 7th grade, the 8th grade students working with our 7th graders in their earthworm dissection. So this cross-age activities. And I don't know the details about how that came to be, but my guess is you had a 7th grade science teacher who moved to 8th grade. So knew the curriculum and knew that there'd be a good tie. So students helping students, 8th graders helping 7th graders. Pretty cool. Our 7th and 8th grade math team did it again. They took the top spot at regionals in April, and then first place at the Mega Math Meet at Madison College. So, way to go, 7th, 8th grade math. Here you have, oh look, we have our board president there. This was the World Day of Cultural Diversity and Dialogue and Development that was held here at the high school. I know we've talked about this before, organized by our multicultural club students as well as the village, a really joint effort, and a lot of great conversations, a lot of great food, great exhibits, some clothing and instruments and things. Very fun day. Our marketing students got to learn from the McFarland House Cafe, and Sean O'Hearn shared a little bit about business practices, so that was nice. You saw this before, but just a reminder about our health services, the amazing things that they do with over 20,000 health visits over the course of the year. But put this out on socials too so that the community can see.
I love that IMS has the most.
Yeah,
Middle school's hard, man.
popular. So good stuff.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And in other things, I wanted to share some good news. So, as you know, we moved to a new health insurance plan with GHC from Dean to GHC. And one of the things that drew us to that was that we were locked into a not exceed guarantee of an annual increase of 8.9%. And it's going to be less. So it's going to be 6.52% for next year.
Nice.
So based on our usage, so it's going to be less than expected.
That's amazing.
So that is wonderful. And then our our dental and vision rates remain unchanged.
Awesome.
So that's great for our staff, myself included. Some things, right? We had graduation since we met, so that was really fun.
It was fun.
Great event, amazing speeches, just really well organized. So special thanks to Kim Wink for her leadership. Every detail,
Yeah.
as I told her,
Yes.
was thought of. So
That was going to be my recognition. Kim does an amazing job coordinating it all. So
it's a lot.
it is.
There's a lot of behind the scenes work too. Also got to go to some WEVA graduations. I know Bruce went to one, and Megan was able to come to a couple. What a whirlwind that weekend was. We had Thursday night graduation with WEVA, which was about 250 some kids that attended in person, and then all at Madison College. And then on Friday we had Insight, which I'm not sure, it was about 80 maybe, something like that, maybe 100 students there. And then we had DCA, which was about 160 kids. So a lot of handshaking, really great event. So thank you to those that were able to attend. We also had the 8th grade recognition ceremony in dance. We weren't able to attend because we were here. We had actually a board meeting. So, but I heard it went really well. A new record of 37 minutes. It's the shortest, I guess, of all time. It's certainly, like, I can barely greet people in 37 minutes. So well done. Heard really good things about it. Saw some great pictures.
Yeah, good picture.
That's fun.
That's kind of fun. The staff recognition program was really well, so thank you everyone for being there. And it's just really fun, and some tear jerking. Some of the things that people said were really powerful about their experiences, and then always the song.
You did a
Blue
great
notes.
job emceeing.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
funny.
Thank you.
He is funny, right?
Yeah.
You never know how it's going over out there. I mean,
No,
it's
it
not like
was
you hear
good.
roars of laughter from up on the stage.
Well, from where we were
Well,
sitting,
it is the last
you
day
got
of school.
good
I know.
laughter.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good
Agreed.
laughter, like not.
Good.
But like,
Yeah, not laughing at, laughing with.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Thanks for the clarification.
You're welcome. Thought you might need that.
I appreciate that. So that was on Wednesday, and then Thursday was our school improvement meeting. So pretty intense, I would say. We started off with about an hour where Emily, for the most part, shared about some of the places we're headed, the vision for a few things. They looked at some of the documents that we've been talking about. And then they broke into their teams, building teams, and dug in until, 2 or 3, depending, because the weather was getting bad. So
Yeah.
some were able to end a little bit earlier. But looking at what we accomplished this year at both the district and the building level and what's next. So it's amazing how hard staff were diving in, really thinking deeply about how to get better for next year. So the principals, I would say, I was in awe of them, and Emily and I talked about this a little bit, just how great instructional leaders that they are. So it was very impressive.
That's great.
So that was good. We had summer school started today, so beautiful morning out there, and obviously the communication was outstanding because kids knew exactly where to go, what to do. They were ready to go. So it did not seem like the first day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see any tears.
Well, that's good. That's a win.
Yeah.
That's another great highlight for the cross age
Yeah.
work. 'Cause
That's
there's-
true, yes.
Because high schoolers come in and support the classrooms.
Yeah.
And my kid does that and just loves it.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
did see him.
and the kids love it, and I just think, I love it all across age
Yeah.
stuff. There's so much learning that happens there and connecting, you know?
It's really neat,
Yeah, so,
very special.
yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Penny Thompson. So a couple things. One is she held the first ever where we held our own youth apprenticeship recognition event. So I do have the brochure that I can pass around so you can see banquet, I guess it was called. Really great event. And I thought it was really neat. We got to see pictures and to capture everybody's experience. And then a couple of students shared about their experience, and an employer shared about their experience. So just really powerful. And last year, so not this past year, but the year before, we just got the results of what was approved from the state for 2025. And there were 110 students from the class of 2025, so not this year's graduating class, last year's, that earned industry recognized certification. And that resulted in nearly $60,000 in state incentive grant funding for our district. So it's one of the things the legislature supports. And so that money comes back to our district. But it's really, really amazed at the stuff that Penny does.
Wow, that's impressive.
And that event was really special.
The video was nice. Like, thank you, Penny, for sharing that. That
Yeah.
was
The
very
video was
nice.
super cute.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, give you a good sense.
Good
Wanted to
stuff.
give a shout out to the Wabisa staff, especially Pete Willickett, Corey Shevchuk, and Leah Lackey for making Olympiad work indoors. So the weather did not cooperate, but they made it happen. So really, Pete's a great leader in that.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pete. Some upcoming events. Of course, as you know, June is LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. We also have on Friday is Juneteenth, and then there will be the event on Saturday from 12 to 3 at the Arnold Larson Park, and that's a joint effort with the community and our very own BSU. So I'm going to be out of town, but if you're able to attend, please do. July is Disability Pride Month. Obviously, July 4th is Independence Day. Then we have the second summer school session begins after that on the 6th through the 16th. And we're back here on the 13th for a school board meeting, followed by a joint village and school board planning committee meeting on the 14th. And then on the 20th to the 30th is Camp K, Camp Kindergarten. So
Alrighty.
That's crazy.
time flies. Oh, and I did want to share, I know we've talked about the donkey coming. You've heard about the
Yeah.
award that, right, the Wabisa incentive that they got, and they were able to spend some time with an animal. And so it was very neat because the person that, typically, like, she can charge for this service, and she just did this, just donated this to us. And she sent me pictures and just a wonderful thank you for how amazing our kids were. And how respectful they were, well-behaved and engaged, talking about the interactions between the staff and the students and how positive they were. So
That's so nice.
I will pass that around as well.
Wow.
So that's all I have. What recognitions do you have?
Well, we covered mine about graduation.
Yeah.
But really just you listed so many events in that last week. And there are so many people who worked really hard in probably a pretty, low energy part of the year where they're maxed out. And so I can't name them all, but just know that we see you
Yeah.
and see the work
Right.
you're doing and appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great end to the year.
Anyone else? Anything else? Okay, I think we're on to our action items then. The first is action on the 2026-27 private transportation contracts. You want to give us a little preview?
A summary, Aaron?
Not really, there's not much to say. It's something you have to do by law, so, those that go to private schools, they are reimbursed for transportation to and from. What's that? Yes,
Yes.
within certain,
Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
there's a radius.
Yes.
But yes, it's just the annual thing.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really
Aaron,
not
how much
to
do we
share.
pay? How much does that cost the district?
I don't have any idea, to be honest. I can find out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think the public would be interested.
Yeah,
Yeah, the report doesn't say the cost, but
right. It's something we are required to do by law. It really varies from year to year, of course, by how many families attend, but we can find that out.
yep. Okay.
Get that to you, sure.
All right. I would look for a motion then.
I move to approve the 2026-27 private transportation contracts as recommended by the administration.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And then we have action on the first reading of policies 5460.03, Wisconsin Virtual Academy High School graduation requirements, and 7250.01, memorials for staff and students. And these are both district initiated. So you want to give us?
I can give
the-
you a little bit of a background.
Yeah.
So the Wisconsin Virtual Academy graduation requirements, this was something that their board discussed at their retreat, and they're just finding that their requirements are not aligned with many of the districts they serve, including our own. And so what they're doing is they're making an adjustment, I believe it's off the top of my head, to science and social studies requirements and increasing their electives, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
And just to be in more alignment. So the overall number of credits does not change, it's just how they are
Allocated.
allocated. And it is in line with what the requirements are in our brick and mortar, and most brick and mortars are. So that will make it more seamless for them.
Okay.
The other one, the memorials, is just to reflect our current practice on memorials for staff and student. There's been a fair amount of research on what is best for student and staff mental health related to memorials for staff and students that have passed. So it just reflects that change, including whether to host events at school, on school grounds, which is something that mental health providers have, including the American Psychological Association, have been very clear is not in student or staff's best interest. So this reflects that while providing some flexibility in unique situations, but just making it clear that predominantly that does not occur.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on that?
I do have a question. Because there is language in here about permanent memorials, would that interfere with the process that the board has considered where we would memorialize others?
Are you talking about the Bill Garvey situation? Okay.
Or even at the primary school? There was discussion previously.
Conrad
about
Albion.
how perhaps a memorial of some sort would suit those purposes in addition to the name changes. Would that language impact those things, or does that not apply here?
Well, I think these are for like celebration of life or funeral type. Like that's the definition of memorial. I know what you're saying though.
Both people are here anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of what you consider, like honoring someone by naming something after them versus having a blood drive. There's some examples in here. Partnering with local nonprofit organizations.
I just didn't want to contradict what we've decided by then agreeing to move forward on a policy that says we won't do that.
Well, there is a line in here that says memorials are permissible only after a proposal is approved by the district administrator. And then the administrator shall inform the board of all such approved permanent memorials.
Including but not limited to the use of memorial plaques, markers mounted or displayed.
Yeah, but it also says generally. So I think that generally helps us not run into any conflict of interest given
So
previous memorials.
would we ask then that, like, since you brought up the Bill Garvey, there was conversation about having like a memorial display, I would say, as a part of that work effort? Does that particular, whatever that's decided upon, does that need to come back here? We did the naming, but if there's a choice, as we discussed the naming and what, you know, what does that look like? If there's a ceremony, I think Michelle mentioned that there was like thoughts of let's have something more. If there are going to be those thoughts, are we saying with this then that piece, that component needs to come back to the board?
Or does
Oh, I
this
see.
need to be edited to not reflect
I'm
the
just,
decisions we've made?
I understand the question. I think one thing I will point out is that that area, the permanent memorial, that is currently policy. So that's not a new policy, that was in policy. And I think the naming of facilities
That's separate.
after people is separate and that preempts,
Okay.
or, not preempts, it overrides, supersedes, thank you, there, good word, good word. This, and that, this is more for when you're not naming a facility after someone, you have a, and I also would say that I think I want us to be careful with the use of words with, if there's a display about Bill Garvey, is that a memorial or is that an educational
Yeah.
Right.
display?
Yes,
If
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
display at the primary school about Conrad Alvium, is that educational or a memorial?
Yeah.
True.
I think, I always think of a memorial as like in loving memory of
Yes, that's how I look at it.
versus Bill
Yeah.
Garvey was a teacher who, but
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, so.
Like I
I'm
would think
open to
of
other
like
thoughts.
speaking like with Derek, like a memorial would be like in loving memory of Derek, like that's how I look at it.
Yep, okay.
But it's a good question.
Is it, I mean, do we consider adding a reference to that other policy then, when it's talking about renaming a facility? Well, I think it,
Because I mean, even like when you say like in loving memory of, I still think, I know, like I can still foresee that happening with Bill Garvey, for example, because of his impact in our community, because of the tight-knit connections we have. Like, I don't think of that, yes, educational, but I would also say that the love and compassion of the family, I wouldn't say that that's outside the bounds of that. But we also don't know because it hasn't been requested, so.
I just wanted some clarity
Oh, that's a-
on this
yep.
particular piece, because it wasn't highlighted as something to be changed on the agenda. Just that after review, I just wanted a
Yeah.
little bit of clarification on those permanent displays on school property.
well, and that's why we do 2 readings, right? So that we can adjust if we need to.
We certainly could add something in there about
Like
unless
define.
approved through policy, blah, blah, blah.
I think it might need the wordsmith.
That wouldn't be hard to do.
Okay.
I think it never hurts to provide some clarity while also having in here that it is up to like a case-by-case basis. I think that's good.
Right.
If
Which
we're having
is-
this question now, are we gonna have this question later? It'd be better to answer it now
Yep.
while we're
Yeah.
making the changes.
Totally. Okay. Are you able to do some wordsmithing for us and send out an
Sure.
option? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then when we do the second
question.
reading, we can decide.
Do we need
What
to
we like.
make a motion to table that one for later?
We can do,
Or is that just?
no, it's still the first reading, so then any edits that we want to happen, like if there were other edits that happened in other policies when we do the bigger ones, then we make those edits and then we review them again for the second reading and then we adopt the policy then. Great question. Okay.
If you don't mind, I cannot hear Yanni very clearly.
Oh,
Is that okay?
Yes.
I'm just,
How about
it's
now?
very difficult
So
to hear
sorry,
Yanni. I'm
friends.
not sure her mic is on.
I
And
She
think
just
Aaron
turned
is
it on.
again going out.
she just turned it on.
My apologies.
Good, thank you.
Sorry, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
No, thank you so much.
You're helping with our audio tonight.
For those of you who might not have heard me, technology is hard, which we just learned. I had a question related to permanent displays that just requires some clarification on what we would consider to be a display versus a memorial on McFarland School property. Hoping to just get some clarification on that as it is presented in the agenda. And I requested that we just wordsmith that a little bit to ensure that we're not contradicting decisions we made previously or the decisions that might not align with the name and facility policy.
Excellent summary.
That was a great, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice
Yeah,
job.
that was
All right.
done.
So after that fabulous summary, does anyone have any other questions or discussion on either of the policies? All right, then I would entertain a motion to take action on the first reading.
I move to approve the first reading of the following policies as recommended by action on first reading of policies 5460.03, Wisconsin Virtual Academy High School graduation requirements, and 7250.01, memorials for staff and students.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And then that takes us to the recommended WEVA DCA Insight School student transfers to resident districts.
There's a lot.
There's a lot
There's
this
a lot.
time.
There was 3 pages, right? Was that, did I scroll through?
No, there's three.
Oh, there's
It was
three.
nice to see
Okay.
that there were some parents that attended
At least,
the admin conference. It's nice to see that there's only 2 kindergartners.
Yep. End of school year cleanup, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like what it amounts to.
Hopefully, they flourish in their home districts.
look at that positive attitude.
Because
Yes.
virtual is not the easiest, regardless.
But if it's a tool you need,
Yes.
it's
right.
there for you.
Exactly. Okay.
I move to approve the WEVA Destinations Career Academy and Insight School of Wisconsin recommended student transfers back to their resident districts due to lack of engagement.
I will second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries 5-0. And then I'll just read this. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, to discuss certified staff personnel complaint.
I can make that motion.
I'll second.
All right. And we will do a roll call vote. And then we will be adjourning from closed session. So for the public, this will be the end of our meeting. Thank you for attending and watching. All right, roll call. Fessler, aye. McRae,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Huey,
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 5-0. We are going to go into closed session at 8:34 PM.